This week, Modern Horizons is on the horizon. We're going to talk about our top 5 picks for Modern Horizons.
We're going to do
what we think Wizards is doing with the set. Let's go.
What everyone is doing. And
let's go.
It's our perspective.
In response.
Hello and welcome to the day.
Thank you for spending your time with us.
I'm Jake.
I'm Joel. Welcome back to another episode of Jake and Joel Are Magic. We are about to jump into Modern Horizons real quick. Before we get started, if you wouldn't mind, do us a favor. Hit subscribe down there and tell a friend about our channel. We would really appreciate that. It would go a long way towards helping us out. Let's talk about Modern.
Yeah, dude, we're going to talk about it, and I'm excited. And so without further waiting, and put on your best dancing shoes and go make sure you pick up the cake because the party's going to be on tonight. What is Modern Horizons? Since Wizards of the Coast has said that they are moving further away from Modern Masters, Ultimate Masters, these kind of products, I think what they're realizing is, okay, we're going to keep reprinting these super expensive cards at a high price point for our fan base and our consumers, and we're not really shaking up the format.
Yeah, it's not changing the format. You're still seeing mostly the top decks show up at every tournament, with the exception of, when a new deck pops up randomly, like we did with the last set with the Phoenix deck kind of breaking out.
Exactly. So, essentially, Wizards is seeing, okay, it's just, we're reprinting Liliana of the Veil and Tarmogoyf and all these cards and Snapcaster Mage and Fetch Lands, and we could keep doing this and perpetuating the same decks. Or we could come up with a new product, we could get away from this old product, and we could come up with something that's specifically tailored to Modern.
Right, and that's probably what they're doing with Modern Horizons. It seems like, just might as well pull the pin on a grenade, throw it into the middle, and let the chips fall how they may.
Yeah.
Shake up the format, really add some, different types of decks and strategies to the format.
And I guess their hope is in doing so, and I know they say they don't pay any attention to the secondary market. I'm sure that some people that work there do. Instead of them, being like, okay, we're just gonna, hope that the format solves itself, they're just gonna throw a bunch of new cards into it and hope that that starts to mitigate the price on some of these decks and like the barrier of entry into the format.
Right.
I think this is a really good move for them. I think it's super cool. It's something that I'm super hyped on. And before we move on and start telling you about our top picks, what this does for Standard is really healthy as well. So now, instead of Standard format being this like, okay, well, we have to be careful that, we don't, print a card that's too powerful, but we
still want to
something...
give Modern players a new toy to play with, like Fatal Push, like Arclight Phoenix.
So now instead,
right, they don't have to worry
Modern
about the
players
design
just get a set that's tailored to them, and now hopefully what we can see in the future is that the MSRP starts to go down on premium Modern products, and maybe even if we could get away from calling Modern a premium format.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a very popular format. It's one of the most popular formats. It's not called Commander. And they still have it at GPs, they still have it at PTQs, they still have it at Pro Tour. However, the barrier for entry is getting higher and higher and higher.
Yeah.
And so it seems like they got to a place where it was either like, we need to completely abandon the format and come up with something based on, the last 8 standard sets or something. Frontier,
which would have been Frontier,
something like that. Or we need to lean into this and really support Modern as a format, and that seems like the route they've chosen to go. Real quick, Force of Will, Containment Priest, everybody's talking about these cards.
Dak Faden, Baleful Strix.
Right, everybody's talking about these cards. We didn't include them in our top 5, not because we just wanted to go against the curve, but we wanted to try and provide you with some different opinions. Let's jump into our top 5.
Yes! Here we are, the very first card that we think should be in Modern Horizons. Vindicate.
Yep, I think this is a great card. I think that it comes from a time, Apocalypse, when I started playing, so it holds a special place in my heart. And
look, the Weatherlight.
It says destroy target permanent on there, and that's huge.
Yeah,
especially when people are cheating out friggin' Karn.
Yeah. And you bring up Karn, and this is a really good card. Versus Tron, it says destroy target permanent. We get to hit lands with this card. It costs 3 mana, which in Modern you can argue is at the top of the curve of a lot of decks.
Sure.
So it's not super fast. It's not too oppressive. I think the card is you know, obviously really good. I think it's going to make its way into like junk decks.
Oh yeah.
And you know, anything that plays black-white will probably have, you know, a couple copies in the sideboard, if not in the main.
So hopefully we see Vindicate.
Yeah, hopefully Vindicate shows up to the party.
Next up, Pernicious Deed. This is one that I personally threw onto the list. You'll start to notice that I've picked a lot of cards from Apocalypse because that's when I started playing. Pernicious Deed acts as a sticky enchantment, you know, board wipe.
What do you love the most about this card? It's the versatility.
Right, artifacts, creatures, and enchantments.
This is what Modern wants.
Yep.
Modern needs versatility because when you sit down at the table across from your opponent, they could be playing a number of decks. And so having a card, this is most likely a sideboard card.
Well, and you know what deck this card hoses is Boggles.
Yeah. Yeah, it hoses Boggles. It hoses a lot of things, and again, you know, like Vindicate.
Right.
This is a 3-cost card. It's not too oppressive to the format.
Yeah, it's not format warping.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally see it being a great addition to the format.
Right.
Obviously, it's an amazing Commander card, but we're not here to talk about Commander. We're talking about Modern.
Yeah, I think it would be awesome to see this card.
Yeah, and the art is just absolutely freaking dope and sick, and I love the colors. I like the balance.
Dope and sick.
Dope and sick. Is that what the kids say these days? They're like, it's dope and sick. And
you tried it on.
You're like, you should probably stay home.
You tried it on. It didn't really fit, but you bought the jacket anyway.
It's dope and sick.
Nice.
Dope and sick. Next up on the list, our number 3, Fact or Fiction. This card has a special place in my heart from when we started playing Commander.
Damn, this card has been reprinted so many times. I had no idea.
Now, Modern is always looking for that good draw spell.
Yeah, control decks need this.
Yeah, control decks need this. You know, we have Sphinx's Insight, but I think Fact or Fiction being a 4-cost is obviously not too format warping. It's a nice slow card. It will only be in control decks, so it's a card for them. It's so cool that we get to speculate and guess at cards and look at old cards and say, you know what, this card wasn't that insane. Like, why not? Oh my god, look at all these Fact or Fiction reprintings.
This is what I wanted to show you.
OG, man.
OG Invasion. You'll notice a lot of the picks today were from around when I started playing. Next up, Innocent Blood. This card, number 1, is a sweet card. Number 2 was from Odyssey, which, again, before Modern, and it was around when I started playing.
Love that art.
The art is sick. This hits Boggles. This hits early Goblin Guides. This hits early Noble Hierarchs. This hits that one creature that finally resolves and sticks and starts swinging through, and you can't find the removal for it.
Yep.
But it's their only creature on the board. It's good in some main boards. It's good in some sideboards. I mean, the card has a lot of different applications, and it could slot into a lot of different decks.
I love the balance. When you think about a card, you know, it's 1 black. Each player sacrifices a creature.
Right.
So if you don't have a creature to sacrifice, that's the balance.
Sure.
But where it's like, oh, that's really, really good for you. But also, the thing is this card loses a lot of steam late game.
Right.
And against a go-wide strategy, that's exactly when you would side this kind of card out.
But there are also decks that run, you know, graveyard recursion strategies that this kind of card wouldn't be a bad thing in the deck.
Oh no, for sure. I think this is a great card. I love, you know, now that you brought up the art here, I love that no one changed it.
Yeah,
there was never like, hey, do we want to?
No,
do we want to redo that Innocent Blood?
No, Carl Critchlow killed it. We're never changing that.
And he's probably just like, yeah, I did kill it.
What
and it makes sense that they never changed.
Hope to see Innocent Blood.
Top card that we think should be included in Modern Horizons.
Yep.
Sylvan Library.
Yep.
And you know, this card has diminishing returns. If you're running more than 1 in your deck, it's kind of like...
Green Search for Azcanta.
It's a green Search for Azcanta.
Yep, that's what I've heard it called.
And so when people are playing, you know, 1 or 2 Search for Azcantas, I see Sylvan Library being the same kind of thing. It's just gonna be like that kind of effect for green.
Yep.
I don't think it's oppressive.
No.
I think it's a card that's going to fit really well into the format. It's a great accelerant for certain decks.
Right.
But it's going to get sided out in certain situations. And I think that, you know, it's just like, it's a really cool card. It's wonderful for EDH. Let's bring it into Modern.
It's a fast format, so make all the decks fast. If we've learned anything from this latest standard format and just standard landscape in general, it seems like Wizards has taken the stance of, we want control players, burn players, aggro players, mid-range players, you know, tribal players, set mechanic with walls players, whatever type of player, we want them to be able to build a fairly mid-range competitive deck. So we're just going to give everybody the tools they need and see how it falls out.
And
I
a
feel
card
like
where
that's a
you're
stance you
paying
could
for
take with
life
this.
as well.
Right.
There's great balance with that.
For sure.
So it's not going to be
just
a card
give
that's
everybody the tools they want. See what that does to the format and make your changes based on that.
Worst case scenario, you ban it like anything else that
Right.
was ever a problem.
So that wraps up our top 5 cards that we want to see in Modern Horizons. There were 3 cards that we were really, really high on, but didn't quite make the list. And those were, do you remember them?
Well, of course I do. The first one is Demonic Tutor.
Demonic Tutor, absolutely.
Absolutely 100% Demonic
Format
Tutor.
defining.
Format defining.
Absolutely.
It's something that Modern needs. Additionally, Vizardrix.
Vizardrix, yes. Big creature.
Very big.
It'd be great to have
Large.
some big creatures in
Great
Modern.
control finisher.
Yeah, absolutely.
Vizardrix, the Piranha Bunny.
I've heard it called that a lot. Great control finisher.
Yes, great control finisher. And then, other than Demonic Tutor...
OG Nicol Bolas.
That's what it was.
Yeah, OG
Original
Nicol
Nicol
Bolas.
Bolas.
I really think that that would be great in some Grixis decks. You know, it's just,
It has flying.
and it's
When
pertinent.
it deals combat damage, it's got
Right.
a mind twist on it.
Yeah, exactly. The biggest thing is that it's got flying, and we need, you know, a big avoidance thing. Big creature that has avoidance would be a good finisher for a
Grixis
control deck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you would do us a favor, click subscribe and go tell a friend about our channel. We would really appreciate it. It helps us grow. Other than that, I'm tapped out.
And like always, we are on a quest for personal growth, happiness, health, and well-being. And we hope that you are